Hello and welcome back to our new show, and still with the Ambassador of Türkiye to Indonesia, His Excellency Talip Kucukcan, discussing cooperation in the fields of economy, defense, as well as regional and global issues. That's from the people-to-people connection between Turkey and Indonesia. So let's go back to the cooperation that you mentioned earlier. Since 2022, actually, we have rising our cooperation to high-level strategic cooperation between two countries. So this is included also projects like the Trans-Sumatera Toll Route and electric bus production. So how has the progress been, if we can share data, and also what are the next steps for the two countries?
Well, of course, the world now is becoming very complicated, and there are several areas that the countries would like to have their own resources to be explored in their own interests. And I think Mr. Prabowo made a very important point when he took over his seat in the parliament. He said we would like to see some self-sufficiency in several areas. And I think he emphasized one, for example, one important area was energy. In energy, the country should be self-sufficient. In defense industry, the country should be self-sufficient. Maybe you cannot have 100% self-sufficiency, but at least you can increase this self-sufficiency. Turkey has proved this. In defense industry, for example, Turkey's self-sufficiency now is about 80%. Of course, 20% you get assistance from other maybe sources. I think in these areas, we will see a lot of co-production, joint ventures, and Turkish companies will come to Indonesia to explore new, let's say, clean energy areas. Already there is one agreement that I should share with you. Turkish Petroleum Agency and Petroleum Agency, Energy Agency of Indonesia will come together to explore energy resources here. So that will actually create, again, a new momentum for both countries to improve economic, I think, collaboration. When you have this self-sufficiency, of course, that will have a lot of implications for the international relations, for the regional relations as well. When there is self-sufficiency economically, when you have economic power, when you have, let's say, soft and hard power that you produce yourself, then your foreign policy will be much more, let's say, autonomous, more independent. I think both countries have similar projections on these issues.
So now let's talk about cooperation in terms of defense industry, as you've mentioned as well earlier. So both nations have agreed on a joint development on terms of drone technology. From your country, we have the information on a joint development plan for Baykar combat drones. Indonesia, if I'm not mistaken, you can elaborate more on this. So can you share detail of this partnership?
I think the partnership in the defense industry is a very critical one between Turkey and Indonesia. You know, all our countries, we import high technology from many other countries, but they don't share the technology with us. We buy them, but that creates a dependency on that technology if you don't have your own technological progress. What we have done in Turkey in the last 20-25 years, as I have said, it is gradually in the defense industry. Turkish companies have created their own technologies. Now they are competing with the world outside. Just Baykar technology, for example, drone technology, as you have just mentioned, they are the #1 leading company in drone technology in the whole world. When you look at the background of the company, they have been investing in that technology for the last 30 years. But now what we see, wherever that technology goes, they actually change the balance of power in the countries that they are operating. I think Mr. Prabowo, the leadership of Indonesia, is well aware of this fact. But also what we see with Indonesia, I think this is a special relations between Turkey and Indonesia. Both leaders talked about how we can transfer that technology rather than only just, as I said, exporting and importing. That's why now we are on a stage in a different level that Turkey and Indonesia in the future will invest in co-production. The Turkish companies will come here actually, they will establish their own companies, and then there'll be transfer of technology. Engineers from your country and experts from your country will learn this technology and they put into practice. That means our really relations are quite deep, geopolitical, strategic, And that is also an expression of trust and confidence in both sides.
Yes, and it's also relevant
right.
with
Right, because as I said, I mean, countries do not share their technology because it's a critical issue with any country, but only with critical countries that they would like to share it. And also, TUSAŞ, this is a very big Turkish company producing drones and aircrafts. They are also now producing the 5th generation fighter jet. We call it Kaan, for example. So the main company has established a small company here in Indonesia already. In Bandung, they have established Indonesia TUSAŞ. Now, we have got 60, 70 engineers employed, Indonesian aircraft engineers employed in that company. And in the future, what we would like to see that they can have some projects and the production will take place, the manufacturing will take place here in Indonesia. That means that technology is already now being shared at some level. In the future, we will see that this will be much more, I think, strongly related contribution to both sides.
Right. So we've mentioned earlier that at least there are 13 cooperation agreements signed between the...
Well, in addition to 13 agreements,
yeah.
I think the media maybe missed it, but there are also private companies, 5 private big companies, they had also agreements. There was a business forum right after the summit. In this business forum, 5 different companies, these are the giant companies of both sides actually, state companies and also private companies. They have also had some agreements on defense industry, on energy resources, on hospital and health issues as well. I think when we look at those things, maybe we will have 13 plus 55, maybe 18 agreements between the two countries. That is a record actually between Turkey and Indonesia so far.
So this is a quotable, so it should be an 18th agreement,
right.
Not just between the president, but also with a business forum. So let's talk about a new agreement was signed between both nations, the Religious Affairs Ministry. So what are of the collaboration does the deal cover between Turkey and Indonesia?
Right, you know, Indonesia and Türkiye are big Muslim countries. When we look at our populations, in Turkey almost 99% of people are Muslims. In your country, 87, maybe 88% of people are Muslims. Given the size of the countries and given the importance of religion in our social and cultural life, we see that there should be more cooperation between our ministers of religion in terms of educating people, in terms of maybe inculcating ethical issues in the schools, religious education, also education of maybe imams, and also the administration of mosques. Because these are all, I think, important issues that we should learn from each other. As I have said, both nations are quite big Muslim nations, but when it comes to cooperation in the area of religion, so far, I think there is a lot of potential that we have never used. We would like to see that big and important contact with each other that will strengthen people-to-people relations as well. We would like to see Turkish religious scholars to come to Indonesia, because both countries do have a similar perception of Islam, quite moderate, peaceful, not hardline, no radicalism. I think that will also provide a good opportunity to exchange views between us. We would like to see that religion is a source of not conflict. You know, if you look at the Eurocentric views, they would like to promote the idea that Islam is a source of conflict, Islam is a source of radicalism, etc. But when we look at the perception and practice of Islam in Indonesia and Türkiye, that is not the case actually. Islam is a peaceful religion. Islam promotes, brotherhood. Islam promotes peace, stability, also partnership, etc. So this is an important area of cooperation in order to raise this image of Islam globally, and also in order to fight against Islamophobia. I think both countries can also use their resources together, because in the world there is a growing hatred against Muslims all over the world because of populism, because of the rise of far right. I think we would like to see that both countries can cooperate on such issues in order to promote the good image of Islam in the world, and also educate each other's imams, muftis, religious personnel as well.
Right. So it could come also to the global issues and regional issues, as you mentioned earlier before. So Turkey has praised Indonesia as a consistent stance in supporting Palestinians' rights. And talking about this issue, both nations reaffirmed the two-state solution and called for a ceasefire in Gaza. So after the meeting between the two leaders, what concrete step will Indonesia and Turkey take next to support Palestine?
Since the beginning of the Gaza crisis, I think both countries were very active in order to raise this issue in the international fora. Both foreign ministers and both leaders, they have always emphasized that Israel is a criminal country. What they are doing is the violation of basic human rights of the Gazans in Palestine. And both leaders have once again emphasized that there is only one solution. That solution is the independent Palestinian state on the borders of the 1967, and East Jerusalem is the capital. I think both countries emphasize this fact. And of course, the main priority at the moment is the humanitarian aid to Gaza. Now, there's a ceasefire, and then both leaders emphasize that we should work together in order to bring humanitarian help to the people in Gaza, and also later on, of course, construction of Gaza. Rebuilding Gaza. And when they talked about the regional issues in the Middle East, actually, they also touched on Lebanon, they talked about Syria, on the Syrian issue as well. Now, there is a peace in Syria, there's a new government, there's a new president, and then both leaders emphasized that Syria should be protected, I think the territorial integrity of Syria should be well established, well recognized, and the sanctions should be lifted, and also again, Syria should not be source of any conflict. I think when we look at it from this perspective, both leaders have emphasized this, and of course, Turkey and Indonesia, when they come together, they will have a strong voice in the international fora. I believe that this will create a new momentum in the international relations as far as Turkey and Indonesia are concerned, and their approach to the Middle East and other regional conflicts are seen.
Right. So my last question, Ambassador. So I believe that bilateral ties between Turkey and Indonesia is vice versa. So we've discussed a lot about what Indonesia can take from Turkey. So vice versa, what Turkey can take the sectors that you can bring to Turkey?
I think Indonesia is rich in its natural resources, and Turkey is not as rich as Indonesia. I think this is one area where Turkey and Indonesia can cooperate, and also in the downstreaming technologies and downstreaming policies of Indonesia. And I see that Turkish companies can tap on these potentials as far as bilateral relations are concerned, and also on tourism issues. And your country is a land of tourism. There are lots of beautiful places, and we can see that more Turks could come here. But of course, there is a visa issue for the Turkish tourists. When they come here, they have to get visa. We would like to see that visa is lifted by the Indonesian government for the Turkish citizens. And also, of course, in order to, I think, explore these areas, we should have more flights between Turkey and Indonesia. We would like to see that Turkish Airlines, that is the main airline between Turkey and Indonesia, we would like to increase the number of flights so that we can learn from each other, and also we can also use all these resources in the interest of both countries.
Again, in terms of until people-to-people connection.
Exactly.
Turkey can come to enjoy the sun in Indonesia, Indonesia can come to enjoy the snow in Turkey. Thank you very much, Ambassador Talip Kucukcan, for your time, for talking with us right here, right now. So don't go anywhere. After the break, 2 hour new show will come back for you, so please stay with us.